right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 2 all afternoon. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star in here. How we all feeling this afternoon?
I don't know. Is maybe as good as Doogie back there? He's got some special treats. I didn't know that Doogie had a setup back there that he brings from home and he puts it behind the glass.
I've never seen this move before. Doogie has a humidifier that he has running in there. He has a humidifier that is running in the back studio.
I've seen that, like you rent a basement apartment or something, you
Right.
fire one in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Office one?
I've never heard of someone bringing a humidifier into the office.
No.
But Doogie is a trendsetter, and Doogie is breaking ground. And I love it. I really appreciate it. I think JP does, too.
Well, that's the thing I'm concerned. How does JP feel about this?
It's a great question.
You know, because they're both sharing the booth. JP, how you doing over there?
Everything all good with you, JP? You like the humidifier? I noticed it's more on your side, too.
It's a nice touch, I will say, as someone who works with a lot of technology here. It is a little scary once in a while seeing water sprayed into the air around all these computers.
Doogie's humidifier.
So let me ask, do you just bring it in every time you have a shift in here, or that's the deal, or what?
It's been staying in here the entire time. It's been about a week now.
All right.
It's
all
just,
good.
It's the whole thing. We have humidifiers. And, we had an idea came to me yesterday. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Maybe Doogie's dates. We get Doogie a date tomorrow. We put something out. We filter through some profiles. I don't know. There's a lot on the docket. We'll see what comes of it tomorrow.
Hey, if you're 19 to 21, Doogie's your guy.
He very well could be.
Send us in some stuff tomorrow. We'll go through them and maybe have some possibilities for Doogie.
All right. We will filter through them like the humidifier.
That's right.
Doogie's humidifier. That's
Doogie's
a part of
that's a
part of the
segment.
package too, right? That's a part. That's I'm sure very enticing for women around the gym.
Oh, yeah, like his skin is noticeably
It is.
Go to Doogie's cottage.
Gorgeous
Got a
skin.
humidifier.
Humidifier. Want to go to the Raptors game? Humidifier.
That's right. Right
I mean-
beside the seat.
Absolutely.
It's doing wonders for both those guys. They both look great.
They do look phenomenal.
Breathing very clearly.
Everything's going really well. So it's going to be an interesting afternoon for a number of different reasons. We believe we'll hear the Morgan Rielly news at some point, although I guess there was a storm down in New York, so they didn't even end up flying down there. Like, why couldn't you do this Sunday or yesterday if you're going to do it over Zoom anyway?
I kind of like that, though. I don't know how the dynamics of this go, and I don't know how much flying down there really means as far as you came down here, so you're at least getting this.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact they said, bad weather, maybe just stay home, I kind of like that for the suspension.
Oh, really? You think it's going to break their way based on a weather pattern?
I don't know. This is my own personal thoughts because I brought this to a couple people's attention today, and they basically told me it's a garbage take. But the fact that it's like, we'll just do it by Zoom. Maybe things have softened a little bit, and it's not mandatory to just wait for the snow to clear, and you've got to come down here. We'll just do it through Zoom. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I
That's
don't know.
pretty
about that
optimistic,
one. I mean,
would you say, Dave?
Well, it's
Dave, you just
Look.
basically said it is a garbage take.
look, I don't know how the Zoom thing. I think Zoom puts people in a bad mood. That's what I would think. Like, if you got to do another Zoom, this is not good for you if you're Morgan Rielly. You want to be in person because Morgan Rielly's a good guy. You want to be able to shake the hand, look him in the eye, to show him that you're an upstanding citizen with all kinds of pizza and insurance endorsement deals in Toronto, the face of the team, longest serving Leaf. Over Zoom, you're just another face on a screen, man.
Right. Yeah. Listen, that is the amazing thing of what happened on Saturday is that prior to that, he was a Lady Bing candidate.
Yeah.
Like Morgan Rielly is generally in the Lady Bing almost every year. It's something I don't think he wants to be in. I think he even said that a couple of weeks ago. He took a penalty or maybe had a double minor or something. He's like, I got to get out of that conversation. But he has no history of doing this. We've broken down the play countless amount of times. Everyone's seen it. Everyone's got their opinion on it. Everyone's got an opinion on what's coming. The fact is he is going to be suspended. He's going to be out of the lineup. And now you're dealing with the aftermath of a defense corps that at their best is a middle-of-the-pack defense corps. Now you're taking your best piece out, the guy that plays a ton of minutes.
The only guy that contributes offense, moves the puck, joins the rush.
Right. This is a real challenge. And listen, their schedule coming up, you got St. Louis here tonight, and since the coaching change, they played really well. St. Louis has played really well. They just beat up on Montreal on Sunday. Like, they're here to play. Then you got Philly, Anaheim, at St. Louis, at Arizona. So the next 5 games, those are games you got to rack up points. After that, it's at Vegas, at Colorado, home to Vegas. Like, you got a 3-pack coming up. If it leaks into 6, 7, 8, which I can't imagine it would. But if it's 5, you may have benefited from the sked, but mentally the Leafs better not approach it that way.
You can't even bring up the sked with these guys.
That's the whole thing.
They don't play. Like, it's not like they say... I mean, nobody in any pro sport could honestly look at a 5-game segment and say, that looks juicy there, juicy there. Like, at first glance, it does, but it never turns out that
not
way.
with this team.
No,
in
they
particular.
always kind of just look at that and they play down to the opposition, whatever they do.
And that's the thing. Like, you talk about why did Morgan Rielly do what he did? And none of us know. Maybe he doesn't even know, right? But I would tell you this. He's the longest serving guy on this team. He looked fed up with something. I'm not sure it was just the slap shot, right? It's the fact that, hey, we just lost 3 out of 4 against Ottawa again. Like, we've had this problem of playing down to the level of the bottom of the league. How many years in a row now? Sheldon Keefe's talked about it. How many years in a row? And yet we're 5, 6, and 3 against the worst 6 teams in the league again.
Yeah.
We're just throwing points away.
That very well could be the case. It very well could be the case. He's not going to say that publicly, clearly. But if that were to be the case, who's that directed at? Is that directed at his teammates? Is it directed at the coach? At management? Who's that directed at, this frustration that, may have played a part in what happened on Saturday? I'd love to get the answer on that, because it's probably a combination of all of them. But, Sheldon Keefe, again, continues to get the vote of confidence, not even publicly. Like, by all accounts, he's solidified. He's going to be the coach for this season. And yet, defensively, they've really struggled. They've been very inconsistent. Now you've got your longest-standing guy who's going to be suspended, a very integral piece of your puzzle here, that something boiled over, whether it was acute or otherwise, it boiled over, and it's just going to be status quo? Like, they're just going to keep going? I would love to get an answer on that, like how the rest of the team would respond to what Morgan Rielly may have been thinking or may have been acting upon. And ultimately, what they need to do is, this has to be a galvanizing moment. Like, something's got to happen here, because you got 30 games left and you're barely in the playoffs.
And I don't look at the rest of the D-core stepping up. I look at a change of mindset on the fly, where it's like, we're run and gun, we want to score off the rush. That you can't play that way right now. Because if you think that there's saucer passes coming 3 feet high in the neutral zone and you're going to go on a break, you're not getting those passes. So you got to look at that D-core. I used to have a classic line in the locker room where I would say, guys, get it in and work the D. They're worse than ours. Somebody might be floating. I love saying that.
That's a vote of
Whenever we
confidence.
play Atlanta, I'd be like, that D's awful. They're worse than ours. So let's get on the forecheck. And everyone would get a laugh out of that. But you have to change the way you're thinking about this on the fly. Get back, help your forwards, simplify, get through the neutral zone simple, and don't leave them hanging out to dry. Turnovers, stupid plays. And you talk about a galvanizing moment. Maybe they wake up and they start playing the right way for 60 minutes because they have no choice.
Well, that's amazing. That's what's frustrating, is that you're 50 games into the season and it still is a conversation being had. Like, are you guys going to decide to actually defend at any point? Is that something that collectively is going to be brought upon this team? But I do think instinctually they generally would lean towards, we're going to have to win 5-4 now. Where, again, Morgan Rielly is not like a shutdown. He's not Ken Danico back there or Scott Stevens. Like, defensively, he's mediocre probably at best anyway throughout his career. But I agree with you. They need to simplify. The forwards need to be thinking, we got to help more than we need to take off.
Yeah.
Yet, it's still the modern game. You can't go high and hard off the glass.
I know.
all night.
But it might be the
You gotta
difference
move
of
the
7
puck.
feet. It might be 7 feet. Instead of sticking up high, waiting for a 15-foot pass, get down and get it 8. Like, just make it that much simpler on the D so there's that simple transition.
Mm-hmm.
It might be that simple. Whether they want to do it, and if they don't do it, like,
Then you're in trouble, man.
Screw 'em, man.
Then maybe you don't deserve to win. You don't deserve to win games in the NHL.
You remember the conversation last year when he was out that 15-game stretch, and it was a bit earlier in the season. They went 12-2-1, and there was a bit of a conversation like, okay, what's going on here? And part of it might have been suddenly they're not playing risky jump the rush hockey. They're playing very conservative.
Is that the stretch where they had Mete and Holloway back
Their top
there?
pair was Giordano and Justin Hall.
That's right.
And they were playing a ton of minutes against the best players and blocking shots.
But they committed to
Yes.
the game you were talking about, O'Doc. They committed to the short pass instead of the stretch pass. They committed to the smart play instead of the risky play. They committed to low risk instead of high risk. And I think it wasn't just the D. I think it was the forwards said, look, we don't have Morgan back there. We got some guys that probably shouldn't be playing big minutes. We all got to band together here. That was one of the best stretches I've seen them play in the Sheldon Keefe era.
Absolutely.
And I guess they got to channel that now. They don't have Justin Hall, who became a big minute guy. Rasmus Sandin was a top 4 defenseman in that 15-game stretch without Rielly. He ain't here anymore. And suddenly it's Timothy Liljegren, who's played on the first pair.
There's a guy that needs to step up and play some hockey because I haven't been impressed with him all season. He's had his moments where he might jump into the play and score a goal, but he needs to start playing some hockey. He's relied upon. He's going to be relied upon in this stretch, and he better get it together.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable.
And TJ Brody as well, right? Like, Brody's had a tough year, and he and Rielly have always played together. Yet, the past couple of years in the playoffs, they've got to the playoffs, they've broken those guys up.
Yeah.
And here's an example of it, not because you want it to happen. Rielly's going to be taken away from you via suspension, but Brody's, maybe he's going to be in a better position if it's a simpler game, right? Because Morgan will cheat. Like, Rielly will cheat. He'll jump into the play. He'll get caught. He'll try to make a play that other guys won't. And maybe 7 out of 10 times it works. The other 3, it can lead to a scramble. And if you make it more predictable, if you simplify things, block shots, protect the house, like, there's certain things that have always been available to defense corps and teams in a defensive standpoint for 100 years in this league. If they commit to it, then they can get through this. Like, this can't be the end of your season because Morgan Rielly's going to be out for 5 or 6 games. If that is the case, then they weren't getting there anyway. Right, one player, they just went through it with Joseph Wall. There's an example this year. The Rielly one last year is a great example, but there's another one this year. When Wall went down, it was like, they're in big trouble. What did they do? Martin Jones stepped in. Eventually, Samsonov returned. He stepped in. Collectively, they got the job done to at least stay in a playoff spot. It wasn't electric. It wasn't great, but they still are in a playoff spot. Destiny's in their hands. They got 32 games. You find a way to get 40 points, you're in. That's it.
It shouldn't even be a conversation.
It shouldn't be a conversation. Yeah. 40 points in 32 games that's going to get them in. Where you are in terms of third or wild card, whatever, let the chips fall as they may. But you take care of business. Again, the next 5 games, it's available to them. It's going to be tough. You got Vegas a couple times still. You got Edmonton rolling through still. You got tough games. That's going to happen. You got to go to Colorado. But this will be a big challenge. Like, we'll see what they're made of tonight. Confirm and deny coming up in about 20 minutes. They're stepping into a building that was occupied last night by the Raptors.
That Wemby gave a beast slapping.
Man, I'm telling you, watching him last night, that was like the term men against boys gets used probably far too often in sports.
Yeah.
What's amazing is that guy's 19 years old. Some of the blocks he had last night were so embarrassing. Like, incredible talent and his ability to move, the wingspan, the fact that he's athletic. He had a block on Grady Dick last night. It looked like Billy Madison in the schoolyard.
Yeah.
Like, it was wild. Watching it live, like, that guy, his shooting was efficient. Like, he went off last night. He played 29 minutes last night.
It's like a grade 8 kid playing floor hockey with grade 2s.
That's exactly what it was. It was a grade 8 kid who's like, where are the grade 2s at?
Yeah, and I'm Eric Lindros, and I'm going to go into that gym and play floor hockey and kick their asses.
It was, I've never seen we haven't had a triple-double featuring double-digit blocks, I think, since 2021. I think Anthony Davis.
But by a rookie.
But by a rookie on a terrible team, on the road to perform the way he performed last night, that was incredible.
Yeah.
Like that.
I was saying to Feschuk before we came in here, I'm like, it's like San Antonio's getting crushed every night, basically.
Yeah.
And they come in here and crush the Raps. And the Darko speech is, I love the guy. He seems like he's salt of the earth. He's positive. He seems like he's got a ton of energy. But that message after the game's like, how many times could you even want to say that to the media where it's like, that's unacceptable, that's not the standard? Like, you're getting to a point where it's like someone's got to ask the question, well, what the hell is the standard?
What is the standard? Yeah. And it's going to be difficult for them. I think it's difficult for them to answer that. Now, effort was an issue last night. Scottie Barnes, he quit on plays.
He did.
Like, he quit on plays last night.
I don't like hearing that at all.
It's an awful look for Scottie last night. And we'll play his audio today, and I don't think he helped himself with his presser this morning. But him leaving the floor, and Darko came out and said it was a misunderstanding. There was a shot clock violation. They the Spurs were running it out. I think there was 3 seconds left.
There's no misunderstanding.
No,
man.
that's him moping, leaving the floor, and he was kind of moping all night. And Darko tried to protect him, but this is the question for the Raptors. Like, Van Vliet's not here anymore. Siakam's not here. Anunoby's not here. There's no shield. There's no veterans. There's no shield. This is the Scotty Barnes show.
Yeah.
That's who it is. They're going to hand him a fortune in the summer, and everything they do between now and the next 2 or 3 years is going to revolve around making him pop and making him into a top 10 player in the league that they can build around and win with. And I understand why they feel that way. I would feel the same way in terms of his talents and his abilities. And he's still young, and everything's going to be a learning experience. But last night was a terrible look. Like, there's no other way to describe it. It was just
I'm
an
not
awful
comparable
look.
to that talent level, like an organizational changer. But I was a first-round draft pick, and they wanted me to get to a certain way, and there was a 4 or 5 year process. And along the way, there was some real tough love. Go down to the minors. It wasn't for very long, but you're going down there. It's just like you got to get those shots in there to let him know that he doesn't run the whole. He's got the keys to the car, but there's got to be some tough love once in a while.
There has to be.
You can't do that.
No, you can't. I mean,
and that's why you pay Masai Ujiri the big bucks, right? Because he's got to be the guy to deliver it.
Mm-hmm.
He certainly has been, because we saw it last year, guys. Like, there were moments last year we saw the occasional public spat between the veterans on that team and Scottie Barnes and whoever the young guys were on that team, but it was primarily Scottie. You heard Fred VanVleet talk about the little generation gap where they didn't necessarily see things the same way. Maybe he theorized it was because guys like Scottie grew up in a social media era, and guys like Pascal and Freddie VanVleet grew up in an era where they've known something other than social media, and maybe they're not they're not narcissists. I don't know what it is. But the bottom line is there was friction there. And the organization made a very clear choice. When Masai Ujiri was calling that team out for selfishness, that wasn't directed at Scottie Barnes. That was directed at Fred and Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not here anymore.
right.
And Scottie is.
Well, I'd love to get Masai's answer on that last night.
And now you have to ask yourself, did we make the right choice? Because the only defense for what he pulled last night is the fact he's 22.
Yes.
And I don't know how long. Is that going to be a defense when he's 23 and 24?
Well,
like, how long do you give him that, Doug? How long do you give him?
Question.
He's young.
Well, I would expect Masai Ujiri, if he didn't like it, to have a meeting with him. Everything that I experienced at the best level was automatic, and it was instantaneous. I did that. Jim Rutherford in his office the next day. I don't ever want to see that again. And if it does happen again, you won't be here. Like, those kind of threats were out there, and you took them seriously. But like I said, I wasn't Wembanyama or Scotty Barnes where everything was evolving around me. I was just a young kid on a quality hockey team where it was like the threat was real. I'm like, oh, if I do that again, I will be out of here.
Right.
So there's a lot of different elements.
Wow.
But if you want it to stop, it's like anything else. You stop it immediately. It's like when I was playing poorly when I was a young guy, I used to love when Paul Maurice would say, the last 5 games, I haven't really liked your game. Tell me after the second shift you see it. Don't give me 5 games where it's like, oh, I haven't liked you for 5 games. Tell me the second shift and I'll fix it.
Right.
Or I'll try to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're also living in a different era with guaranteed contracts, player empowerment. Like, there's a lot of different things. And
Dude, you still can tell a player,
Absolutely.
don't even think about leaving the bench.
Right, but Scotty knows on July 1st they're going to say, what are we talking, Scott? Are you good with the extension? Here's every penny we can give you. Like, that's coming in the summer.
It has to.
Like, he's getting the extension in the summer. They're going to lock him up, lock him in. He's going to get every penny he can possibly get. So you're right. That's what I'm saying about gelling all of this. It's very difficult to do. I think it's incredibly difficult to do with a rookie coach who's never done it before. That's another thing here. Darko, he's never been in this position before. How does he get to this guy?
I don't care
it can't
how
be Masai every single time.
I don't care. One thing Craig Button said years ago is regardless of where your organization is, coaching is very important. And even, like, they're going to be garbage for a long time.
They're not going to be good for years.
No, but you can't have a coach that has no influence and that the players aren't somewhat afraid of. I'm sorry. Like, if you have that, you've got a serious problem on your hands.
Well, okay.
So if Scottie Barnes' mentality is, I don't care what Darko says, he can't do squat to me, you got a problem.
You have a big problem.
Yeah.
Why don't we play? This is Scotty, a couple hours ago. Again, last night after the game, Darko said what he said about the whole situation, the team, the play. Then Darko came out today and said he kind of fell on the sword for Scotty. He said there was a misunderstanding of the shot clock. Again, I don't believe that. I don't think anyone really does.
No.
But still, There was a shot clock violation. All right, fine. And that they had a conversation about channeling his emotion. And you would assume the conversation was, you can't do that stuff. Like, we need you, man. Like, you've got to install winning habits long before the winning happens. Because the winning's not going to happen. Not the rest of this year, next year, the year after that. And it's Scotty, you need your best player, especially in the NBA, to be the guy that drives that home, that drives the messaging home. Here's what Scotty Barnes told the media earlier today about that situation last night.
I was just like 2 or 3 seconds left in. Left the game. So I just left the game.
Did you think the game was over, or did you just like kind of had enough at that point?
Nah, it was just 3 seconds left. It was all going to locker. That's really it.
How could that be a good look for your teammates?
I don't know. Left the game early. I guess it shed the Cleveland vibe, so it's a bad look. It was a mistake by my part. If it affected them in any way, it was a mistake by me.
So, again, it doesn't sound like he's saying a shot clock thing. He would basically, I just left 2 or 3 seconds. And if it affected them, I guess that's on me. I don't know. I mean, listen, they got these guys, there's a lot of young players on this team. That's another thing. Like, Emmanuel Quickley's not some grizzled vet. He's trying to figure it out, too. He really struggled last night. RJ Barrett's a young guy still trying to figure it out. Like, you don't have a shield here. You don't have 28, 29, 30-year-olds who are going to play. And that's an issue. Like, it's a
huge issue. And here's the other thing, guys. Like, Masai Ujiri talked about the culture on this team that was broken last year, right? And how he had to repair the culture. They had to repair the culture as a group this year. But to me, that's not repaired culture.
No, exactly.
And
But they traded away everyone, so there is no.
And
culture
here's the
right
thing.
now.
That's the problem.
Like, what made this franchise what it was in the championship era? Like, in the lead up to that championship era, there was a thread that ran through those guys. A lot of them were underdogs, right? There were, like, Freddie VanVleet, undrafted. Pascal Siakam, late pick that nobody really thought had any chance of becoming an All-NBA guy. Kyle Lowry always had doubters, even though everybody understood his talent. Had to convince people, hey, I'm not a jerk. I can be a good team guy. And Masai Ujiri had that quarrel with him until the trade deadline of 2019. All those guys had something to prove at all times. Suddenly, here's the first guy we've had in a while in this city who comes in and everybody's anointing him, right? Darko's saying he's going to be the face of the league. During his rant in Lakerville.
Yeah.
Probably wants to take that back.
Probably wants to say, you should have been fined for saying that, right? That was, forget the rant against the refs. Calling Scottie Barnes the face of the league. Hey, Adam Silver's going to get you for that one.
Right.
That's a little bit of an overstatement. But they've anointed this guy. He's on every commercial in town. He's, and that's whatever. He can make his money. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But how you comport yourself, how you carry yourself has been a big part of this team. And suddenly he's breaking every rule.
Yep.
That has kind of got them where they are as a culture. And what's Masai Ujiri going to do about it? What's Darko going to do?
What would be
about
problematic is there's rumors that after the first year he didn't exactly take the fitness seriously. So then you got this, and then you just wonder what's coming up. That would be my concern. It's like, what do we got here? And we're going to unload all this cash to him. What are we going to have around the corner?
Yeah.
Because there's some warning signs here, and some organizations would be like, I'm not giving this guy all this money because you've seen the warning signs. But they're probably going to do it anyway.
They're going to do it.
Well, you kind of have to.
You have to, and listen, they're pot committed. Like, that's it. And there's a lot of things to unwrap there. I think what you said about maybe some friction between Fred, Siakam, et cetera, probably explains it. What you just explained might be the reasoning for that.
Yeah.
Like, VanVleet had to grind, and Siakam had to grind. Where Scotty, to his credit, he was a 4th overall pick, won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
He deserved flowers. He deserved He showed up and played. They were a playoff team. He played through an injury in the playoffs against Philly. Not a lot of players in this league likely would have done that, especially as a rookie and knowing that he was the Rookie of the Year. But what it is an example of in sports how quickly it can change. Where 4 or 5 years ago, the Raptors were one of the 2 or 3 crown jewels of the NBA. Crown jewels.
Yeah.
They had the king in Masai. They had a championship team. They had a great staff. Nick Nurse winning Coach of the Year. His assistants getting plucked all over the place to be head coaches elsewhere. And now you're in a position where people are looking at the Raptors and saying, what is going on up there?
Yeah.
And it happens quickly.
It has happened
And
very fast.
that's where we are. And it's going to be a really tough job now. Like, this is tough for Masai because
Yeah,
even
we
like,
goof on organizations and pro sports teams that are garbage for a
they're
long
terrible.
time. They're going to
Raptors
be terrible.
are terrible.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the worst 5 or 6 teams in the NBA. Like that's what they are.
No, it's embarrassing. Like you've lost to the Pistons. You broke. You allowed the Pistons to do what they did and break that incredible losing streak. You've lost to all the worst teams in the league. San Antonio had lost 7 straight coming into last night.
And they got smoked.
And they're dominating you last night. I mean, when you're doing those, when those are sort of your signature moments of the season, like they're just
No, it's not a
terrible
good scene.
embarrassments.
Not a good
I mean, that's tough to recover from. And you talk about the project was to begin the season, rebuild the culture. It ain't going well.
No, it's not. That's at the forefront of all this.
Well,
And
the
it's
worst
being
thing
challenged.
to influence culture is getting your head caved in every night on the scoreboard.
Well,
It's like, what kind of culture can you seriously have when you get crushed every night?
very difficult to do. And that's why you got to have the right players
Yeah.
who can somehow build on it and somehow be inspired by it and understand, again, yes, we're losing now, but I'm telling you, we're not in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I won't allow it.
If we were Wayne's World in our basement and we had a guard, like we were terrible, it wouldn't be like wrap up and it would be, great show, everyone.
Yeah, it's difficult.
We wouldn't exactly have a
I
great
agree.
culture.
It's difficult to do, and I understand the frustration. Like, again, to be fair to Scotty Barnes, I get it. It's tough. Like,
I'll tell you
tough.
what, though. I'll tell you what. Like when Scottie Barnes got blocked by Wembanyama last night,
That was
like,
wild.
it's like I've seen this. I've watched a bunch of those Spurs games just to watch this kid because he's a marvel. And it's like when certain guys get blocked by him, and you talk about it's like a Billy Madison movie. Like it's
Dude,
hard to believe it's actually happening because the angle just doesn't seem possible, right? Like he just comes out of nowhere and he's swarming you. But it's as though like you see guys take that shot and the ball's swatted, and it's like, if this is the way the game's going, I don't like my chances.
No,
Like-
you're in
like,
big trouble.
How am I going to compete against this? Like, this is him at 19. This is him as a baby. Wait till he's fully grown.
Right.
I
You,
mean-
you think about where he could be in 5 or 6 years. It truly might be astonishing what this guy's going to do. But what is terrifying is the idea of the injuries. How does he keep everything intact?
What does he need to explode? 20 pounds of muscle? Or is it just being around the league and knowing the league? Or what's going to put him over the top?
Yeah, I think it's just sharpening the edges. Like, the guy's got everything in his arsenal. Like, last night, he was putting up hook shots like Kareem in his prime.
Beautiful
and hitting
touch.
threes in a mid-game.
I mean,
like
his handle's unbelievable. He's got a point guard handle with like shooting guard touch.
and his instincts in the paint, to your point, like, it's like you're not physically terrified. Like, guys used to go into the paint when Shaq was there, and they're like, I'm terrified of this guy. Like,
He was
terrified.
out.
And you couldn't post up on him. You couldn't back down. He wouldn't move. With Wemby, though, it's like he's so athletic. He takes a half step, and he's over top of you.
Yeah.
And you don't even what are you supposed to do? Like, this guy's he's gonna have highlights throughout his career of blocking 3-point shots that it's like, how is that forget around the rim. This guy is gonna block Anthony Edwards, in a Western final in 4 years from 3.
Yeah, he'll be under the basket and then out to
and
the
just
corner.
somehow 2 steps.
That's
and
right.
It's like, how did that
How
guy
did he
just
get
do
there?
that? And it's incredible. All right, Confirm or Deny coming up. Mike Johnson, Johnny with the call tonight. Leafs Blues on TSN. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
Before we get into Confirm or Deny, got a message saying Doogie's segment for Valentine's Day should be called Humid or Fire.
Ooh. There's a lot of potential there, Doogie. I think we got to iron this out.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Yes. Was that Travis Kelce? That was him at the Super Bowl, right? I wonder what he's up to right now. Like, are those guys still partying? You would think so, but once you win your third and you're in your 30s, do you
Dude,
do
the
it
best
one
was
night?
the video at the bar where it's Travis with his glasses on with Taylor Swift dancing, and it was like, I love you, no, I love you more. And then it pans across the bar, and his brother is on a railing in a luchador mask, guzzling beers.
Mm-hmm. He had a great time.
He had a great time.
Jason Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey seems like a fun guy.
He seems like an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Look at him up there just having a blast.
Look at the luchador mask.
I love that. The luchador mask it always lands. Like it never doesn't land. It always lands. All right, confirm or deny. You guys ready? We've all played it before. Statements are made. We go around the table. We either confirm them or we deny them. Very simple stuff. Confirm or deny. A top 20 finish for Tiger Woods at the Genesis would be a Grand Slam performance for him. Top 20.
I will confirm this, and I just spoke with Feschuk during the commercial. The one thing I noticed about Tiger, and it's a very simple thing, he just seems to be walking a little smoother. Like he was walking out of his hotel to the gym this morning. It looked like he was, he had a bit of a hop in his step, which that limp's been there for the last couple years. And then he had, I don't know what, the foot surgery on top of it. I think he can pull it off. Maybe he's good this week. But we also discussed you can't play for, like, you can't take forever off and then show up at these events against the best players and beat them. I don't care if it's Tiger Woods or not. You just can't do it.
No. Well, that's it, man. It's a field of 70. It's a really strange way they've set it up because it's a signature event. Yet Tiger wants a cut, but the cut rules are top 50 plus ties make it, and you make it if you're within 10 shots of the lead. So even if you're 70th and you're 10 back, there's no cut effectively.
So
you got to really blow up.
You got to be horrendous, which does set up for embarrassment. Like if Eldrick is chopping it around,
if he's the only one that gets
he's
cut,
the only guy. Like
wouldn't that be something?
69 guys are within 10 shots, and he's 15 back. Like that could be really embarrassing.
Anyway, the actual confirmer
top 20. Top 20 is that's a great week. Grand Slam.
Absolutely confirm it.
Yeah, I mean it's a definite confirm. I mean in this field, this is a primo
great field.
I mean this is not going to be easy.
No, it won't.
Top 20. And look, I mean I've been pretty bullish on Tiger making a big splash as soon as he could get his stride back. Is because I watched him at Augusta last year. Like I walked around first night I got there, Sunday night, he was the only guy on the course with a wedge and a putter, and Joe LaCava and him, they were just going green to green. The hands are just impeccable still.
But what's a big splash for you, Chuck?
Well, I think he's going to contend at Augusta as long as he's healthy. Like I really do. I think he's good enough to contend at Augusta. For years to come. Like he will contend at Augusta for years to come.
But it's still a major tournament. Like he can't play the Genesis and then play the Players, and that's all that he plays.
Yeah, that's probably what he's going to do, though. I think that's unless he maybe plays at Bay Hill. It's either that or the Players. But
that is a concern. Like maybe he's playing money matches in Jupiter.
Money matches is money matches. He's got to play 2 weeks before, take a week off, and then play the Masters and prove that he can get around so the rust is off and he's fit to play.
He has to.
Yeah.
He has to.
I think he's probably going to come to that realization, right? Like there's got to be a little more competitive juices.
Because I said it yesterday. Every Monday, he's like, I believe I can win. And then when he misses the cut, he's like, well, I haven't played. It's like, dude, it cannot be both.
I know. He's always trying to compensate. I was watching the Golf Channel today, and they brought up a good point that everyone's focused on his ankle, his walk. That back is still a mess.
Yeah.
And it's fine now, but at some point, that's what I think he might be even more worried about. The limp, that's going to happen the rest of his life. I don't think he'll damage it more. His back, though, he's a fusion away from being in serious trouble.
Well, I was joking today, that if you saw the logo that he just released for his new brand, it looks like the remains of a skeleton tiger.
It is kind of a wild. It did kind of feel that way a little bit. He had that big announcement last night.
Is that sort of what's left of
man
now?
But I guess it had 15 ticks for the 15 major. There was some sort of meeting he tried.
I like it because it's not like he's showing up in J-Day clothes now, where it's just baggy stuff and you don't recognize him.
Yeah, it's
black hat, white logo. It looks like Tiger Woods.
Keep it very clean, fresh. Go do your thing. I'm going to deny this though because it is Tiger and he plays so few amount of events. And it's his event. It's Riv. He loves the course. He's never won there before. I'm not saying he will win, but top 20 out of 70. This is Tiger Woods here. I'm going to give him the benefit.
Yeah, but you're just dealing with Tiger Woods right now.
I understand that. But let's say he finishes 20th. That's a Grand Slam.
I think it would be
because
it's a nice start to the year for him. He's got to start somewhere, right? He ramps up.
If he gets there. If he even gets
Well,
there.
ideally, he's going to ramp up toward Augusta. And that's what this whole
That's
design
what it
is.
has
Now,
to be.
I agree with ODog. There probably needs to be a couple more dates in there just to get the competitive reps and to make those pressure putts and make those pressure up and downs because he's not been doing that lately. Like the last bunch of times he's played, he hasn't been able to do that stuff. And I think a lot of it is just rust.
Yeah, it should be Genesis, Arnie Palmer, Players, Masters. Although the Players and the Masters is like a month apart, give or
That's
take.
what I mean.
The one thing he hasn't really brought to the table, like during this injury-riddled kind of leg kind of stretches, like he hasn't really hacked and slashed it. He's got, like, that might be out there where he shows up. Riv is tough, man. And
Riv is very tough.
if he starts hacking and whacking, look out on that track.
All right, confirm or deny. The Battle of Ontario will resume next season without any carryover from Saturday night. In other words, Saturday night is gone. It's done. Nothing of it next year.
I deny that completely. I think that Ridley Gregg, with that maneuver, fueled the fire. But it's like, what are the characters going to be going into next year? If it's a totally different outlook on the team and different players that have no connection to that incident, is there going to be any retribution or any kind of intensity?
Well, it's not going to be Tavares or Matthews or Marner or Nylander. They're not going to do it. I wonder. I'll confirm it because I wonder if Rielly will be the one that will say, this time I'll drop the gloves.
I'll confirm it just because they're not going to go into Ottawa or play them in Toronto and embarrass themselves and say, nah, that's all forgotten. We're not going to respond physically.
Also, I think Ridley Gregg loves this.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm Ridley Gregg and I'm in his camp, you got to keep it clean and within bounds. But I would suggest he rolls into the next year and clap one in warm up and be like, I'm here to play. Like, I'm
100%.
here to agitate. I'm here to do. I don't care about you and your feelings.
The kid made a name for himself.
He sure did, man.
He clocked somebody in Philly. I said it yesterday. I think it was Ristolainen, and he absolutely crushed him against the boards. It's just to go out there and you see so many guys, they just want to go out and play, and that's all they do. It's like, I want to play my shifts. I want to get in my car and I go home. I don't want to bother anything. I don't want to stir anything up. I just want to get paid, and he wants to play. Like, he wants to make a name for himself. I love that about him.
Yeah, look, he came into draft camp, like to the draft meetings and telling everybody he modeled his game on Brad Marchand. And guess what? That's what NHL's GMs want to hear.
Exactly.
They got enough nice guys. Like, everybody's got nice guys.
Oh, there's so many nice guys.
So many nice guys that are highly skilled from great families. How about give me a little rat that is not afraid to maybe embarrass himself, maybe cross a line, maybe do something that's a little unsavory. Guess what? That works. Brad Marchand's on Team Canada because of that. We need that. Every team needs that. The Leafs don't have much of it, and they've always tried to get it around the edges or at the bottom of the lineup, but they have none of it at the top of the lineup. And I think that's since they left Kadri out to dry, and I understand why they let Kadri go. Part of it had to do with the Department of Player Safety and doing dumb things in big moments. But the unpredictability of that, to me, that's what's missing from a lot of young players.
And I guarantee you the Ottawa management will be watching that kid saying, this guy plays for keeps, and he's going to be a part of the solution moving forward.
Well,
he's not just making himself as like a guy that's expendable. Maybe I stay. They want that guy in the lineup.
Like I was saying this the other day to a skills guy, one of the guys that runs those skills camps. Like, if I was a former NHLer, like if I'm your pal Tux, I'm running the Darcy Tucker School of Degeneracy, and I'm teaching kids, like, here's what you do. Like, because I don't think these kids know how to do it. They don't know what to do to get under the skin of an opponent. And maybe you sort of have to have that in you a little bit. Maybe it's partly just who you are as a person. I don't know, but I think a lot of kids could use a little bit of that.
Absolutely. Well, especially if you're trying to make a name for yourself, or if you're on the margins and you're trying to stick out. Like you mentioned, Tucker's said that many times. Like he said, I'd prefer to do this and be in the NHL than be making $30,000 in the minors.
No kidding.
And trying to score goals, or being a superstar or whatever. Like, you make your name, you play. It's tough. It's not easy to do every single night. No one expects you to do it every night. But I'll say this also about personality. Everyone keeps saying, I've heard some people suggest, well, the slap shot, that's great. We want personality. What comes with that is the reaction. There's no personality if there isn't a reaction.
Right.
A slap shot, no one cares if you take a slap shot into the net. It becomes a thing, and it becomes you showing personality because you provoked the reaction. There has to be the second chapter to that. The personality isn't steeped in, hey, I took a slap shot into an empty net. The personality is, wow, look what I caused. These guys are losing their mind.
Yeah. They all want to kill me. Yeah,
everyone wants to kill me, and that's great. Now everyone's focused on me.
Problem that I think a lot of Leaf fans maybe have is that not everybody on the Leafs wanted to kill the guy. Like one guy wanted to kill him.
Exactly.
Everybody else kind of went, oh.
That is a significant. That stood out even almost as much as the Rielly scenario. That every other guy on the ice just said, "Hey, that's enough."
Yeah.
Confirm and deny. Scotty Barnes should be expected to be the leader on this team, even though it's only his third season. The guy, leader.
Yeah, you probably wrote this yesterday afternoon. I'm not sure if you can even put those two things together. I don't think he has that part of the leadership.
Well, he didn't show it last night, but should it be the expectation? Like, is it fair to ask a guy who's 22?
Yes, because you said earlier they're going to write a check for him for whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Along with that money comes that responsibility. The only question is, who's going to pave the way for him and show him what to do?
Well, no, I don't know.
The concerning thing is that he needs a hard lesson on what to do to become a leader. That's concerning to me.
Yeah. I will confirm this as well. I think he should be expected. I don't know if he will. Last night would prove that he's not in that position to do it now. But who else are you going to rely on? You know, Jakob Poeltl, Garrett Temple.
Wow.
Like, who are you going to rely on? Chris Boucher? Like, those guys, they're not even playing.
No,
like,
you can't be a leader in that position.
Yeah.
Like they've anointed him the guy. They've anointed him face of the franchise. Darko's called him the face of the NBA. I mean, he has to be the leader.
Yeah.
Guess what? Well, like it or not, you are the leader. You are the Raptor.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we're sitting here wondering about this. I thought it was very telling at the press conference where Masai Ujiri talked about the trade of Pascal Siakam. He was asked, "Is Scottie Barnes ready? Is Scottie Barnes ready to be the guy?" And you know what his answer was? I don't know.
We'll find out.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, damn right he is. And that's a scary thing.
Yeah. We'll come back with more confirm and deny. Something on Alek Manoah, something on the Calgary Flames, and what could happen with them in the future. And Mike Johnson coming up in about 20 minutes. Leafs Blues tonight on TSN. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Mike Johnson in about 15 minutes. His take on how the Leafs are going to move forward without Morgan Rielly. Pitchers and catchers reporting tomorrow. And we figured we'd continue with some confirm or deny here.
Hit me up.
Confirm or deny. Alek Manoah's progress and camp results will dominate spring training and nothing else will come close. No other story will come close.
Are you talking about what he does on the mound or just his physical look?
Everything about Alek Manoah. The whole Manoah storyline, it's Manoah versus the world down there. Confirm or deny?
I'll confirm that because it's just such a big story about what happened last year. I think that it's first going to start with him making it a priority to have cut off sleeves and to show the world. Because
Ricky Vaughn style? You think he's
he
showing
will
up
be
like
Ricky Vaughn to show everyone, and he'll carry a bat to do a tri-flex. He'll have something to make sure that there's an appropriate flex. He'll do media with his arms crossed, so you flip up the buys a little bit. I know that move very well.
Good move.
It's gonna be. He will steal the show, but at the end of the day, he has to go on the mound, and he has to pitch well.
That's it, man.
Yeah, look, he's going to be a huge topic. I'll confirm it. I think he is topic number one for all the beat writers going down there. What's going on with Manoah? How does he look? Can he turn it around? Is he a lost cause? I think he's probably a lost cause. I mean, that's my bet. But who knows? I'd love to see him prove me wrong. I think maybe 1A is just Vladdy, right? It's all about Vladdy. Like, when is Vladdy going to get back to being the potential MVP? And we haven't seen that in a while. And it's been too long, and he knows it. The organization knows it. In a year where you went shopping for Shohei Ohtani, and then you decided, we're done shopping. Guess what? There's got to be internal improvement. There's got to be internal improvement on the offense, or you're not going anywhere.
That's the amazing thing. Like, Soler just signed for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I think he got 3 years at, what was it, like
18.5 or something?
Yeah, it was like 47 total or something.
That's nothing.
I mean, that's a lot of money, but relatively speaking, we were talking Ohtani, they were going to offer him $700 million or something. It's not, and Soler can hit. Like, he can give you something, and they decided not to do it. I'm actually going to deny it from the standpoint of being an optimist here and a glass half full guy with Manoah. To start, it's all Manoah. Like, when he shows up, when you place eyes on him, what's he doing on the mound? I would assume when it's just pitchers and catchers, he's probably going to look good. He's going to paint the corners. He'll have good stuff. They'll talk him up, even if it's a mess. But if he pitches well, it will quiet down. Like, it will it will only continue to be a story if he's a disaster. Like, if he goes out and just gets rocked, and then you're like, man, what's he going to do in 5 days? Gets rocked. Are they going to keep putting him out? Then it's like, all right, what are they going to do? Like, he clearly can't break camp. Then it's all Manoah all the time.
I'd like to see him be honest and grateful, to be quite honest with you, to just say, look, I'm embarrassed about what happened last year. I showed up to camp. I was way out of shape, and I thought my talent alone could get me through the big leagues, and it obviously couldn't. And this is my second shot at this. And if I butcher this one, I'm probably not playing in a league that starts with an M. Major League Baseball. It's like that could be endgame if I'm garbage.
That'd be a great approach.
It would be. It's just like, maybe apologize to everybody. Just say, look, in the big leagues, it was unacceptable what I tried to pull off last year, and I did it. I'm sorry for it.
Wow.
Yep.
And I'm gonna try to change the page here.
It can be difficult when it's you, when you're in there and all the eyes are on you and you feel like people are poking and prodding. You saw it with Scottie Barnes today. Like, Scotty could have diffused that situation today.
I know.
I
just thought about
stupid,
that.
I'll never do it again.
47-year-old me thinks that you should do that.
Yeah.
But 22-year-old me probably wouldn't think, I don't know these people anything.
Exactly. And that's the challenge. And we're dealing with young guys. We're dealing with human beings here. Again, Scotty today could have come out and said, guys, I want to say something quick. I'll never do that again. Bad night by me. Moving on. And everyone would be like, hey, great stuff, Scotty. Instead, it's kind of defiant. Hey, I don't know. It's 3 seconds left. If Manoah comes in with the attitude you just suggested, people will get right on that bandwagon.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No
immediately.
kidding.
It's like,
a
let's get
PR
cooking
dream,
again.
man.
The PR dream.
But the thing is, when have we seen that kind
That's
of
the
self-awareness
question.
from this guy?
Will
we
it
haven't
happen?
seen it. Maybe he found it over the offseason.
That's the question. But if he pitches well, there'll be other stories like Vladdy, like, you bring in Turner, you bring in a couple of pieces, the rest of the rotation, how they match up with the Orioles, the Yankees, etc. It's a long spring, man. Spring training's a long time. Hour 2 coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.